In this video, I'm going to show you how I made and designed 3 custom thresholds to cover the seam when laying any sort of flooring. In this video, I'm laying LVP, but it would really work for any sort of flooring. And the main catalyst for this was myself and the customer just did not like the look of the prefab transition pieces and thresholds that are more commonly used for this application. So I spent some time making some custom pieces, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Now for this project, I'm making this for someone I know, so I'm trying to save costs. So I had this large chunk of sweet gum that roughly the math worked out that if I broke it up into 4 pieces, I could get 3 of the thresholds I need, because as you'll see, all 3 are not only different widths, different styles, but also different thicknesses. So I've done this before. I basically cut this huge chunk in half. It was about 12 inches wide, a little over 5 inches thick, and then I was going to cut these other segments. One of the doors needs a very high threshold, about 2 inches, so I'm going to cut these a little unevenly so I get a thicker piece and 2 thinner pieces, and if I piece part of them together, it was just enough to make it work. Now obviously, if you do not have a chainsaw and this lumber laying around, as you'll see, this project becomes much easier if you're just going to go out and buy some hunks of lumber that you might have to plane a little bit and form a little bit, but much faster process versus essentially what I'm doing, which is milling your own lumber. But with the chainsaw, I got the nice chunks I needed. Sometimes this could be a little bit of a difficult task because I wasn't working with a lot of waste, so I had to get a really clean cut. But you could see from my pieces, these will all clean up real nice on the plane. There's not a lot of marks in them, so I was pretty happy with how that process turned out. Like I said, these are the chunks. This is the one that's about 1 inch, and then obviously the other one is the ones that are 2 inches. So I made one of these first because I thought it was going to be the hardest one to do. I kind of wanted to get it done and out of the way. It ended up being the easiest. So the 2 ones you'll see are going to be the 2 harder ones to do. And that is going to be the entrance and exit to a set of French doors. They're elevated off the ground. If you watched the channel, you saw me install those French doors, and the reason they're elevated off the ground is because this room was originally a patio, and it doesn't lay flat, it has a slope to it, so I had to add a spacer to lift up the doors. But basically all I'm doing is I sent these through the plane to clean them up a little bit, and then because the edges are rough cut, I have this sled that I use sometimes for jointing material on the table saw, but what I'm using it here for is to clean up that one edge, so I could send this through the table saw, clean that one edge up because it's clamped to this fence, so it's much safer to send, and because it's clamped, the uneven edge won't reference off the fence, because if you send an uneven edge across the table saw like this, it will just stay uneven. You need it to be floating or use a joiner to clean up that edge. So once I had that edge cleaned up, I can now flip it because I have one straight side and clean up the other edge as well. Now this one, I knew it wasn't going to be long enough to cover this whole piece. So what I decided to do was make the inner section go from molding to molding, and then I was essentially going to put 2 caps on the end. It meant I was going to have a seam, but for this sort of application it wasn't that big of a deal, and I decided to make those seams where the moldings were, so it made a little bit more sense. So with my chunks on the side, I just use them as reference to trim the molding, and then you could see how that is going to fit into place on both sides. So for this one, I don't film it, but the ends, all I did was epoxy them in place. They're never going to be load bearing. You're going to be walking on the center of this. So sometimes I put splines and special joinery and stuff like this, but this project I'm really trying to get it done because I've been working on it forever, so I just epoxied those in place. So then to make the rabbet on all of the sides so that the flooring can slide underneath of it, all I did was lay everything on the floor and mark how high that flooring is going to come on my piece. Now obviously, because this is 2 inches thick, I'm going to want an angle on the front, otherwise you're going to be tripping over it constantly, but I don't want that angle to impede my rabbet. So basically the material I'm leaving between the front slope and where the rabbet's going to be is about 1/4 of an inch. So I still have some thickness, so stepping on this repeatedly over the years doesn't snap off that front. So that's all I did. I found that angle. I think on this one it was about 20 degrees. The angle was different on every single one. And then I put that one aside to work on the other threshold. So this one's going to look probably a little bit more traditional to going through a doorway. So basically I have to remove the thickness of my threshold. This one is 3/4 of an inch thick, so I planed my material down to 3/4, and then I could go through and just same process, remove some of that molding so this could slide underneath. I don't have to remove all of it, just enough so that it will hide the fact that this threshold is sliding underneath of it. Now this one's going to have to be pieced together as well. So what I did was I found where the front of that brick wall is, and I made a mark, and then I could calculate back how far that one is set, and then I use that distance in between to start cutting out my notches. Now like I said, the notches are going to be covered by that upper molding, so they don't necessarily have to be pretty, but there's 2 of them, so I sighted the first one, marked roughly where it should be, cut the 2 on both sides, then I could slide it a little further under the frame, once again spot it roughly with my eye where I needed to cut to, and then remove it. And I just bought this Bosch blade 3 days ago. It was almost $20 and it's already smoking. So if anyone has any recommendations of where to buy these bulk blades, I am pretty rough with them, but to me something that you make a couple cuts with and it's already smoking a few days later is just absolutely absurd. So I'm looking for some recommendations on people that have used those blades, because obviously I'm going to go through them a lot and I don't want to keep spending money on these expensive ones. So I could come back to my piece once I notch out those 2, and I could calculate how much more of a front I need on this. Obviously at this part where the floor is going to be running across the front, so I want this to overlay that front edge just enough to hide it, so I don't have to make any sort of special cuts on this stuff where it meets the thresholds. So if I lay my tape on top of where that flooring is going to be, I calculated about 1.25 inches, so I cut 1.25 inch piece is going to be the little lip on the front. This one I glued together with regular glue because time wasn't as important. I let it set up overnight. I thought I filmed that, but I did not. It's just clamped it together with regular glue, sanded it so it cleaned up all that glue, and then the next day I could come in and make sure it fits in there. I had to kind of tweak it, remove a little bit here, remove a little bit there, not too much, and then it slid into place. Then this one's going to be exactly like the other 2. I'm just going to mark where that flooring hits the front edge, and that is going to be where I cut my rabbet to. Now this one, once again, I do want a little angle on the front just so it looks nicer and you're not going to trip on it, but because this one's 3/4 of an inch, my angle is going to be much more slight than the other one. I think this was about an 8-degree angle, so I could cut that really quick on this one, and then I basically have my 2 sets at the same spot. So that's what that looks like. This is a thin bit of material, and then I could remove that rabbet. So to make sure I get this perfect, because I definitely don't want this rabbet to be too wide, because then you'll get a gap between the threshold and the floor, all I did was sneak up on it. So I made a rough cut, tested it, came back and made a second cut. You can see this first cut, I'm removing quite a bit of material. It's actually lifting off the saw a little bit, so I will run this through the saw a couple times. Now the 2 thresholds that are floating out in space, I'm also putting rabbets on both ends so that when the flooring goes on the sides, it'll also be covered. These rabbets are 3/4 of an inch deep, which means I'm going to send my material 3/8 of an inch under the threshold and leave a 3/8 inch gap, so all of this stuff can expand and contract with the seasons, and I shouldn't have a problem with the floor buckling. For the finish on this, I went with Osmo oil, mostly out of curiosity than anything else, because the Osmo oil says it's rated for floors, and because I know the customer, if something happens to the finish, I could come and recoat it with something else, but I am curious just to see how long it's going to last in the space. To attach these, I went back and forth on the best way to do this quite a bit. Sweet gum is one of those lumbers that will probably move on you a little bit more than others. So what I settled with was basically using Lexil adhesive on just the back side, nothing on the floor, nothing on the sides, no hardware holding it in place. Right now we're in the middle of summer, so the humidity is going to be the highest it's going to be where I live. So if anything, this wood's going to shrink. It's never going to expand more. And I was nervous if I put too much glue on it, it would constrict expansion and it would twist and cause problems. So right now it's really only leveraged to one part, and I guess the theory is if it has to move, it will expand out and not in other ways. So then at this point I could start laying the floor, and you can see just some shots of each one, how that flooring fits underneath of it. The 3/8 inch expansion foam is in the manufacturer's instructions on what to put between the wall and the floor, so that is why I'm using that. Especially with customers, I try and stick to manufacturer's instructions in case they have to call in a warranty later down the line. But this one was lucky. I didn't even have to make cuts on that second one. It fit right underneath. Same thing with the French doors. I could slide these in place, and there is some room to maneuver because, like I said, that rabbet is wider than I need it to be. So I could just roughly cut these, slide them into place. They fit perfectly underneath there and give you a nice seamless look without any of those sort of prefab transitions. This last piece, same thing. I just had to notch out a little corner. It slides right in and then under that threshold. There's no big gaps in this. I'm not nervous about it moving around too much on me. And like I said, because I know the customer, if I do have an issue with using that adhesive on there, I can always come back and tweak this. But that is what the French door one looks like. The one going into the garage, and obviously molding will come up to all of these. I haven't done the baseboards yet because the floor is not done. And this is the one by the door. I did start the baseboards over here and ended up notching out the corner to make it look a little bit nicer. But I hope people can get some useful information out of this for their own projects.